I'm Cynthia Richmond, here with Dr. Stephen Ross, president of the World Research Foundation and author of And Nothing Happened, But You Can Make It Happen. Welcome, Dr. Ross.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Now, before we get into your book, which I am so excited about, it's a thrilling book, so timely, but tell us a little bit about your background.
Basically, my interest in the health field began in my teens when I was running track and field at my university. I sustained a knee injury, was sent to the leading sports physician in the Los Angeles area, who recommended that I had to have surgery or I couldn't continue competing. I really didn't like that option, Cynthia, and I decided to see if there was any other possibility. I did some research, found a therapy, and ended up using it myself, continuing my track career, and that year became an All-American.
Wow.
When I told the sports physicians about the therapy, they told me they really didn't think it could possibly work. They had never heard of it. I opted to do it myself. For me, it planted a seed. What other things exist that the, quote, experts don't know about? That began a search of mine over the last 40 years around the world, investigating, researching, trying to find therapies that have existed that might be useful in today's medicine.
And that's really what the World Research Foundation is all about.
That is correct. The organization that I co-founded stores and houses over 30,000 books going back to the 1400s. It allowed me to learn that there are many therapies that have existed and do exist around the world that are not in use in our medical system.
So why aren't we using those things that are available?
That is part of the reason why I have written the book, because the approach to medicine here is dominated by pharmaceutical and drugs. That is really has been exasperated for me when I look at these TV commercials. Why is it that we accept, if you have hay fever, that you're going to take a drug and you're going to end up with a side effect that is far worse? Some of these drugs have side effects of comas, of heart attacks, of stroke, of diabetes. I recently heard of a pharmaceutical where the side effect was rupturing tendons in the body.
My God.
This is an approach to medicine that I finally could not accept based on all of the information, all of the work that I have done. Part of that work is I've been a consultant for governmental agencies, for the insurance industry, for hospitals. I know that there are other approaches, but greed and vested interests have withheld a lot of the better techniques from reaching mainstream medicine.
Yes, I noticed that the subtitle of your book is Have Greed, Ego, and Vested Interests Kept Potentially Safer and More Effective Medical and Health Technologies from the Public? And the answer, of course, is yes.
Yes.
I mean, your cover illustrates that beautifully.
Exactly, and you'll notice also on the color I have an individual wearing a suit, holding in his hands pills. Now, on the surface, that might not seem to be too bad. However, we now live in a medical system where once you get on these pills and pharmaceuticals, you never get off of them.
It's like you're given another pill to make up for the symptom that was supposed to be helping the first thing.
That is exactly right. So this book is trying to inform people that there are other approaches to medicine that are as safe or safer, more effective. They're more conducive to what the body is made up of, but they are also coming from the leading researchers and scientists in the world. A lot of these techniques, especially the ones for cancer, were developed in the 1920s, 1930s using electricity and magnetism, something that is part of our daily life. And Cynthia, the body is an electrical organism. It is a mechanism. But when the pharmaceutical industry really took over its dominance and control of healthcare throughout the world, a lot of these other techniques slipped through the cracks. They disappeared. So this book is not about bashing one approach. It is an explanation of why the other approaches are not there. And the book is about hope. The book is about things that will work for arthritis and diabetes and cancer. Again, it isn't specific therapeutic machines as it is a new paradigm of medicine that is safer and more effective.
Well, I was very impressed that all of this is based in science, and there were these experts, and there was the microscope.
Yes, the Super Rife microscope. This was a device. That microscope, developed in the 1930s, is 10 times more powerful than microscopes they use in today's research. If you read the book, as I know you have, but when people read the book, they'll understand why it is not available now. But in a little short explanation, what they saw through the microscope would change the entire approach and paradigm of medicine in the world, because through that microscope, they were able to use therapies, electricity, magnetic, radio waves that destroyed the cancer virus instantly with no side effects.
And many of the things were non-invasive.
Exactly.
Such as the color therapy. I was so impressed with the beautiful pictures of the little girl who was burned.
Yes. Grace Shurlow, back in the 1920s, sustained third-degree burns over 2/3 of her body. The doctors really didn't have anything for a pitiful case like that. They give up on somebody. But Dr. Kate Baldwin of Philadelphia Women's Hospital utilized a therapy called color therapy on this little girl. After 1 hour, all the pain was gone, and eventually this little girl grew new baby skin without any topical application, without any pain. So we have many stories like this. By the way, that case was written up in the Atlantic Medical Journal, so it was a confirmed case of this color therapy.
And nothing happened. It wasn't immediately used by other doctors in other hospitals.
No, because a lot of pressure was put on the doctors at the time. It was not a pharmaceutical. It was not a pill. This is why, again, I get very upset. I'm going to use that word upset when I see these constant commercials over and over. A smiling face telling us you're going to get rid of your original problem. Oh, yes, your side effect will be loss of consciousness, coma, brain damage, diabetes. And I'm not being facetious. I believe everyone listening to our discussion here has laughed at these commercials thinking how ludicrous, but they also believe, what else can we use? We have to do this. This book explains there are other approaches from the most prestigious institutions, the best qualified medical people. They put it out, they made their discoveries, and nothing happened. But you can make it happen.
You can. And I think every one of us is touched by some illness. Most of us know somebody who's got cancer, and we would be so thrilled to be able to offer some other hope to people. I was impressed by the veterinary medicine that's would work as well on humans, but is not allowed to be used.
And a lot of these techniques had to go into the veterinary side because there isn't the same type of regulation. Sam the eagle, written up in our book here, was an eagle that none of the veterinarians using the standard approaches was able to heal. But using an electromagnetic device from Europe, this eagle's wings was healed. But the doctor was threatened not to ever say that it can be used on human beings, which it could be.
Dr. Ross, what is your goal? What would you like to see happen as people become aware of these alternative methods of healing?
I am looking for freedom of choice in our medical care. It is not about selling volumes of books. It is changing consciousness of people. A, that they realize there are alternatives to what we have. B, that they do have power over their own body in therapy. And if we can get enough people to understand that these techniques that are always classified as alternative or they're non-scientific, this book is loaded with the great scientific approaches. I want people to make a difference, to get together and understand that they can make it happen. Safer, more effective, less adverse effect type therapies.
It's a new paradigm in medicine.
Yes, it is.
And I love the way you use the Emperor's New Clothes story that we're all familiar with to kind of remind us that just going along with what everyone else says isn't necessarily the right way to go.
Exactly, and I'm so happy you have read the book. The Emperor's New Clothes, the little story, is so pertinent today. The little girl yells out, but the emperor's not wearing anything. And the simile is, we are not curing health problems. We are masking problems and then sustaining new problems. That is the emperor's new clothes.
That's not good medicine.
No, it is not.
Thank you so much for taking the time to compile all of these important therapies into one book. I know this is really going to make a difference.
Thank you, Cynthia.